Thorns of the Waking Court. Chapter 12. Blood Oath. The decision, once made, settled in Calla's heart with a quiet certainty, a profound sense of purpose that rooted her to the very core of Thornecourt. The ache for her mother, the raw rage at the Chancellor's centuries of cruelty, the undeniable pull of the Grove's silent anguish, it all coalesced into a singular, unwavering purpose. She would break the curse. She would free her mother, and in doing so, free Thornecourt itself from its eternal twilight. Aerith, his face etched with a complex mix of relief and renewed despair, spent the next few days in the deepest, most shadowed chambers of the Hollow, places few courtiers dared to tread. He shared ancient texts, their pages brittle with age and veined with root ink, and forbidden knowledge, whispered like dangerous spells. He spoke of rituals performed by the first kings, of the delicate, brutal balance between the Grove's forced life and Thornecourt's slow decay. He revealed the true nature of the binding curse that flowed through his own veins, a parasitic magic passed from one cursed king to the next. The curse was tied to the very bloodline of the throne, a festering wound that slowly consumed the king, draining his vitality, and by extension, draining the life from the realm itself. It was a symbiotic corruption. The Grove was twisted into an unnatural state of consumption, and the court was dying, slowly suffocating in its enforced twilight. He confessed the names of ancient rituals, spoke of the forbidden heartwood of the mother tree, the oldest root, and the terrible cost of its unnatural binding. As Calla immersed herself in this forbidden lore, poring over cryptic diagrams and chilling accounts, the Grove's connection to her deepened. The sigil on her wrist, once a mysterious mark, now pulsed with a vibrant, swirling pattern of roots and light, a constant, resonant hum that vibrated through her entire being. She felt the ancient root system of Thornecourt extending into her own body, a vast, intricate network of living magic intertwining with her blood and bone. She saw not just fleeting visions, but understood the intricate, nuanced language of the roots, the silent, desperate whispers of the earth itself. It was as if her senses had expanded, allowing her to perceive the world not just through sight and sound, but through the deep, geological pulse of the Grove. The Grove was sealing her deeper, making her a true conduit, a living part of its broken heart, preparing her for the ultimate challenge. Meanwhile, the court, sensing the seismic shift in power and the king's public vulnerability, began to splinter openly. The carefully constructed facade of unity, already cracked by Calla's wild magic, shattered completely. Factions solidified, their allegiances no longer veiled by masks, but openly displayed in their movements and gatherings. The Chancellor, his shadowed presence now more overtly menacing, his face harder, began to plot with chilling, almost frantic directness. Whispers of Aerith's waning power, once circulating in hushed tones, turned into bold declarations that his time was over, that his reign was a blight upon Thornecourt. His loyalists, few and far between, clung to the tattered remnants of their king's authority, their eyes holding a desperate plea for a miracle. Riven, ever the opportunist, the shark in bloodied waters, moved through the shifting currents with renewed purpose, though his usual cunning was tinged with a desperate edge. He approached Calla with new offers, his charm laced with a palpable anxiety. "Aerith is dying, Calla," he would purr, his voice smooth as polished stone, yet with an underlying tremor. The Grove's surge was a warning. He cannot hold it much longer. Join me. We can share the power, rewrite the laws. A true partnership where the court bows to us both, free from the old constraints. He painted a picture of a new Thornecourt, where power was absolute and shared between them, where the ancient curse was bent to their will. But Calla saw through his ambition, recognized the desperation beneath the polished veneer. His mask of casual indifference was cracking, revealing the raw, grasping hunger beneath. The unexpected burst of grove magic, the king's weakened state, and Calla's rapidly growing power had unsettled him profoundly. He was losing control of the elaborate game he so relished, and the thought terrified him. His loyalty, she realized, was only to himself, to his own elevation. He began to falter, his usual cunning shadowed by an uncharacteristic impulsiveness, his arguments more desperate than persuasive. He was trying to push Calla into a position of reliance on him, to bind her to his ambition, but her growing awareness of the grove's true, untamed power made his attempts seem clumsy, almost pathetic. His attempts to charm her into his alliance felt increasingly desperate, his smiles thin, his movements jerky with barely concealed anxiety. Elias, loyal as ever, became Calla's unwavering shadow, guarding her with a quiet, fierce dedication. He moved through the court like a wraith, intercepting hostile whispers, deflecting veiled threats with a subtle gesture or a well-placed word. He saw the Chancellor's true intent, recognized the meticulous plan that had been generations in the making, a tapestry of deceit woven since before Calla's mother was born. He understood the Chancellor's patience, his cruelty, and his ultimate goal, not just power, but absolute control over the grove itself, a twisted vision of Thornecourt where all magic served him. "The Chancellor means to harness your power, Calla," Elias warned, his voice grim, low enough so only she could hear. "He wants to rebuild Thornecourt, but not as Aerith dreams of it being. He wants a hollow bound utterly to his will, a weapon forged from the grove's anguish, a source of endless power for his tyrannical rule. He sees your connection as a tool, not a gift, a means to an end." Elias also spoke of the Chancellor's network of spies, the eyes and ears he had cultivated throughout the court, even among the seemingly loyal. He spoke of the Chancellor's true nature, a being whose very essence was antithetical to the grove's life-giving magic. Calla touched her pulsing wrist, the sigil a living warmth beneath her skin. "He won't have it," she vowed, her voice firm, resolute. The memory of Elias's face, etched with sorrow when he spoke of her mother, fueled her defiance. The pain of her mother's past, the echoes of her rooted suffering, became a shield, a guiding light. The time for trials and masked dances was over. Calla had chosen her path, bound herself by a blood oath to the grove and its silent agony. The Chancellor's plots grew bolder, less subtle, casting a pall over the entire realm. Thornecourt held its breath, suspended between an old, dying order and a new, terrifying freedom. A dangerous game of chess was underway, and Calla was no longer a pawn. She was the queen, marked by thorns, ready to challenge the reigning tyrant. The air in Thornecourt was thick with anticipation, the scent of impending storm, a final climatic battle for the soul of the realm. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but Calla walked it with a newfound purpose, fueled by love, grief, and the boundless power of the awakening grove. End of chapter 12.